Ever find yourself thinking about, what you'll leave behind? Like what your mark on the world will be? And I'm not talking about like getting your name on a building or something. You've sent over these excerpts and they're super interesting, really get into that deep down need to matter, to leave things better than we found them.
Right. It's a question that's been around forever, hasn't it?
Yeah.
What I find so interesting about the stuff you sent over is that it comes at this whole idea of legacy from like a philosophical point of view.
Yeah, exactly. It's less about the what and more about the why?
Totally.
So about that why, the source material dives into some pretty powerful reasons behind wanting to leave a mark. Things like wanting to be acknowledged, feeling appreciated for what we do, leading a sense of purpose, contributing to something larger than ourselves, and like forming those lasting bonds with people.
And a lot of the time, those motivations all kind of weave together,
Yeah.
Take that desire for recognition, for example. It taps into that very human need to connect, to feel like, yeah, we mattered in the grand scheme of things. But it's not about ego, really. It's about having our contributions recognized, validated even. And that links right back to that search for meaning we were talking about. Leaving a positive mark, it's a way to really solidify what we believe in, don't you think? Like saying, this is what I stood for, this is what mattered to me.
Totally. It's like you're etching your values onto the world. I like that. And the source really stresses the whole authenticity thing, too. Like, it's not about chasing somebody else's version of success. It's about living a life that reflects, your true self.
Exactly. Aligning your actions with the values you hold most dear. And that kind of naturally leads us to the whole idea of role models, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of role models, the source mentions all sorts of figures who can inspire us on this journey of, leaving our mark, from like those big historical figures to community leaders, artists, even people in our own lives. The idea is that by looking at their lives, what they did, how they did it, we can pick up on principles and strategies to, make our own difference.
And there's a reason why these role models are so powerful. They're like living proof that doing great things, and those things will be different for each of us, of course, but achieving them, it's totally possible. When we look at their journeys, and the source makes it clear, there will be bumps in the road for all of us, but studying how they navigated those challenges, that gives us incredible insight for our own paths.
Yeah, it's like they're saying, look, I messed up, I got back up, and I made something good happen. You can too.
That's the beauty of it, right? You don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can learn from those who came before us, adapt their strategies, and then apply them to our own situations, our own goals. The source even suggests, finding people who overcame similar challenges to the ones you're facing now. Their stories can be like a roadmap for your journey.
That's a good point. But let's be real for a sec. The road to leaving a mark, it's not always easy, is it? The source gets into some of those common hurdles, Fear of failure, obviously. Not enough time to do it all. Dealing with criticism and not letting it get to you. And that whole comparison trap, too. Those are things we've all struggled with, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure. And the good news is, the source gives some really practical advice on how to deal with those hurdles. Like building resilience. That's huge. It's not about seeing setbacks as failures. It's about seeing them as learning moments, opportunities to grow. It's about breaking things down, right? Like, how do you eat an elephant, as they say?
One bite at a time.
Exactly. And we can get so caught up in like the grandness of it all that we forget that, we just got to take those smaller steps.
It's so true. And speaking of support, because, we don't have to do this alone, the source talks about surrounding yourself with the right people, people who get you, who cheer you on and give you honest feedback and just like listen when you need to vent.
It makes a huge difference having that support system. It really can be the difference between like throwing in the towel and actually pushing through. And don't underestimate celebrating those wins along the way, even the small ones.
Oh, totally. Every win deserves a little dance party, even if it's just you in your living room, right? I remember when I first started writing, like just finishing a short story, it felt like climbing Mount Everest. Celebrating those small victories, it really kept me going.
It's so important because acknowledging our progress, even the little steps, it keeps us motivated. It's like fuel for the journey, And, switching gears a bit here, the source material also talks about how important our personal relationships are and how much they play into the legacy we leave behind.
Yeah, that really resonated with me, that whole idea of leaving a mark on the hearts of the people we love. It's about those genuine connections. Those are the ones that really matter.
It always circles back to connection, doesn't it? That deep down human need. When we really invest in our relationships, when they're authentic and genuine, it's like creating this ripple effect that goes way beyond ourselves. It's understanding that we're all connected. And even a small act of kindness, it can have this huge impact that we might not even realize.
Like leaving a legacy of love, of generosity that keeps going even after we're gone. Actually, the source told this really moving story about how someone did this simple act of kindness, helping an older person with their groceries, I think it was, and it ended up sparking this whole chain reaction of good deeds in their community.
I love that story. And that's exactly what the source is getting at, right? It's about contributing to the well-being of our communities. It's about getting that our individual actions can actually lift people up, that we can each play a part in making the world a little kinder, a little more compassionate. And the amazing thing is, we often don't realize how much power these small gestures have. We might not ever see the full impact, but it ripples out, you know, and it creates this ripple effect of positivity that benefits everybody.
It's such a good reminder that leaving a mark on the world, it doesn't have to be about these huge life-changing actions. It's about those small, everyday choices to be kind, to help out, to make someone's day even just a tiny bit better.
Exactly. It's about understanding that each of us, we have the power to make a difference, however small it might seem at the time.
And it's not just about those face-to-face interactions, is it? The source material also looks at how people are making their mark in this whole digital age we're living in. Like, it's not about statues and monuments anymore, right? It's about this digital footprint we're leaving behind.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? All these new ways to connect, to share our thoughts and experiences with the world. The source mentions things like blogging, creating videos, being part of online communities, all these different platforms where people are sharing their knowledge, what they've learned, their creative side even. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. Technology has given so many people a voice, a way to reach others and maybe even impact their lives.
It really has. And what's so interesting is that it seems like no matter what the platform is, that underlying desire, that drive to connect with others, to contribute something, to make things better, it's still there. It's like this very human need that goes beyond time and technology. You know what I mean?
100%. The tools we use might change, but that longing to connect, to make a difference, to leave our markets prepare, it's part of what makes us human. And it reminds me of this question that the source material asks, something I wanted to leave you with to think about. If you could look back on your life, what kind of Wella would you want to see?
Wow. What a powerful image. What kind of footprint are we each leaving on the world? Definitely something to think about.
Well, on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into leaving a positive mark on the world. We hope you walked away with some new perspectives, maybe even some inspiration to keep going on your own journey.
And remember, it's a journey, not a sprint to the finish line. Every single day, we've got these opportunities to make choices that line up with what we believe in, to be kind to others, to build those real connections, and to keep trying to leave things a bit brighter than we found them.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Until next time, everyone, keep those big questions coming and keep making your mark on the world.